when it comes to good things, there's always bad things. So you just heard Cori Bush, right? If you're watching the full podcast, you just heard Cori Bush on MSNBC talking about being homeless and talking about how food pantries are things that are not so easy. You don't just get free food and then you're good. Sometimes you get food for a week, right? But you can only go to a food pantry once a month. Cori Bush is talking about how she has firsthand experience with this kind of stuff. And again, it's super important, right? You see other people like Jamaal Bowman, who is a middle school principal directly speaking to poor kids every single day, running and winning a congressional seat. Now, Jimothy Dore here, what does he have to say, old Jimothy Dore? Well, let's listen.
I don't care if Cori Bush just got elected and fucking Jamaal Bowman and the squad and that.
The idea that this guy can't say Jamaal Bowman, I think it's kind of racist. And it's going after the same thing that Republicans do with Kamala Harris and Barack Obama, where they do this thing where it's like, oh, that's an ethnic name. I can't pronounce that. It's disgusting. It's ridiculous. Like, I hear people say, Camilla Harris, like, oh, what's that about? Like, again, it's just disgusting. So I would just want to forefront that. This guy, if you're following Jimmy Dore in the year 2020, I'm sorry. And this guy's been problematic for a long time, but as soon as he said shit like Tulsi Gabbard is better and more to the left than Bernie Sanders, as soon as that was his political calculation, done, gone. Anything he has to say in the future, unless he does like a huge rehabilitation tour, right, I'm not interested, except for to make fun of him. So let's watch.
I don't care if Cori Bush just got elected and fucking Jamaal Bowman and the squad, and they're there to fake you out. Progressives inside the Democratic Party are there to fuck you up and fake you out. They're not there to help you. So this idea that somehow now Cori Bush and Jamaal Bowman is going to somehow add to the heft of the progressive caucus is just a pipe dream, because now you have 6 people or 7 people who are kind of progressive inside the Democratic Party. What that does is gives a false signal to workers that the Democratic Party is an opposition party. It is not. They are there to give you the false impression that it is. And that's why
Okay, so an opposition party to what? Like, what are they opposing in this instance? If the Democrats are the ones controlling, right, how can they be an opposition party? So he's got his talking points confused. Now, again, if I can understand the claim here, this is like this weird anti-authoritarian, like, kind of vibe, like, where you think you're a leftist because you're anti-authoritarian, but in reality, you're not really a leftist, and you're just kind of like, you just don't like people that are more popular than you. That's really what Jimmy Dore's kind of like whole shtick boils down to. Anyone that's more popular than him has to have something wrong with them. Cori Bush, she was an activist. Are you saying Cori Bush is more useful as an activist than as a congressperson? Is that the calculation? So, okay, if we're not allowed to have elected members of Congress, right, that's not allowed in Jimmy Dore's fantasy world, so what should we do? Everyone should just be activists? Okay, great. What has that accomplished over the last decade? Over the last 20 years? What has happened with activists? Oh yeah, nothing. That's true. So if you're arguing that, okay, nothing's going to happen in or out of the system, and we're all just fucked, while you sit there in your studio and get paid millions of dollars to post stupid cringe shit garbage on YouTube all day, if that's your perspective, okay, buddy, fine. You're a doomer, you're a nihilist, you hate everybody, you hate everything, it's okay. But if your idea is, I don't know, to have a better world in the future, it's always a better thing to have an activist in Congress than having an activist outside of Congress. Now, here's another thing. The Democrats lost seats in 2020. If the squad is around 7 members, maybe 10 if you really extrapolate, right? If they do a lot of work. Guess what that gives them the ability to do? Block legislation. Now, we'll see if that happens, right? But if in order to pass legislation, the Republicans are going to be oppositional. They're not going to vote for anything that Democrats want, right? But in order to pass legislation, they might need to rely on a vote from Cori Bush. They lost seats. The Democratic majority has dwindled. They have barely eked out a majority, which means that the squad's power and influence is significantly expanded, right? We also have a Democratic president, right? So again, we've like Jimothy Dore here is basically decrying a strategy that has never been used. Having actual elected officials that are activists, that and I'm not even joking, has almost literally never happened in American history. Have you ever had a Black Lives Matter activist be a national fucking congressional person? That has never happened. So unless Jimmy Theodore is able to see into the future, or he lives in like some Mandela effect universe where this has already happened, I really don't understand. If your calculus is that you're a doomer, you're a nihilist, the world sucks, I hate everything, okay, fine. All right, fine. But if you're going to try to have any sort of prescriptions that you feel like will positively impact working people and minorities, then this is not it. This is not your guy. This is not the bullshit. Let's just finish this.
He is at the party. That's why Cori Bush is now in the party. They are not taking over this fucking party.
And again, he's like doing this kind of thing. It's like, oh yeah, they put Cori Bush in the Democratic Party. Yeah, who's they? They just put her there. She's in there now.
Cori Bush is now in the party. They are not taking over this fucking party. That is not happening. Those people are head fakes inside the Democratic Party. More power to Cori Bush. It's a fool's errand to send you into the Democratic Party. You are going to be squashed. Hey, the Democrats just got Cori Bush and Jamaal Bowman. We have expanded the squad so that now we have more progressives who will do exactly as Nancy Pelosi tells them.
What is that creepy smile? What was that? That was like a Mitch McConnell. Look at his smile here. And I'm sorry for the audio listeners, but this is like a Mitch McConnell like grin of death. Like, look at his smile. This is a grin of death that you're about to say.
Who will do exactly as Nancy Pelosi tells them.
What is that? What is that? Are you kidding me? Yo, that above all else should tell you that Jimmy Dore ain't it. What is that? Like, he's thinking in his mind, I've successfully delivered my Koch brother talking points. Emphasis on brother. I've successfully delivered my Koch brother talking points. Now the rest of the show, I get to have fun. That's what that smile is. I got paid. I did what I got paid to do. Now I've got an extra 20 minutes to talk shit about Jamaal Bowman or whatever he said. It's ridiculous.
Nancy Pelosi tells them.
Oh my God, what is that?
Do you think AOC has the balls to call out Nancy Pelosi? You are a chump of the highest order.
Well, I just want to say she already has. Like, AOC she's calling out Joe Biden. She's calling out MSNBC, CNN. She's calling out all the centrist Democrats on Twitter over the last week or so. So this seems to be a little cringe compilation. It could have been from a couple days ago. But Jimmy Theodore doesn't read the news. The guy's kind of a whack job. He's a loser. And I'm sorry, if he puts out good content, I like it, okay? But there's a difference between Jimmy going on Fox News and saying something leftist, right, or slightly leftist, right, or at least anti-Trump, and then people following his show and getting their talking points from him. Like, if Jimmy wants to go on Fox News and provide an anti-Fox, anti-Republican thing, awesome, great. That's amazing. But if you're going to be watching Jimothy for your news coverage, and if you're going to be taking points from him on anything, on strategy, what has Jimmy Dore done strategically? Is Jimmy Dore an activist? Is Jimmy Dore raising money for bail funds? What is he doing? Maybe he has, and I just don't know. But seriously, this guy is as fake as you can possibly imagine. Now, again, if he wants to turn a new leaf, totally open to that. If a year from now he's like, oh, I was totally wrong about everything that I said, and things are looking good, right? That's great, and I accept that change. But until that point, this guy needs to prove himself as anything other than a CIA plant. Because as far as I'm concerned, if Jimmy Dore didn't exist, the CIA would generate someone almost exactly like him to take his place. But they don't need to, because he's there. This is a demobilization thing for leftists. Leftists think, yeah, Jimmy says fuck, and he says he hates him, and he's got that rage, and it's like, man, that's what I've been thinking, man. And instead of, I don't know, advocating to go out in protest. Instead of, I don't know, following elected leaders that are activists. Instead of, I don't know, calling your congressional representatives, annoying the fuck out of them. Instead of, I don't know, doing literally anything besides tweet all day with your 13 follower Twitter account about how right Jimmy is. Like, seriously, if you scroll down here, it gets embarrassing. I'm not going to do it. But again, it's all a demobilization effort. It's all a demobilization effort, and that's what you need to understand. The analysis is one thing, but for me, my analysis is relatively similar to Jimmy's, right? Except for I actually want positive change. I'm not going to sit here and talk about how shitty the world is all the time to get clicks. Maybe I should. Maybe I should, right? But I actually want to affect policy. I actually want people to want to affect policy. I want people to want to have a better world. Yeah, the world sucks. Great. Do you want a prize? Yay! You figured it out. Obama was also a warmonger. Amazing. Do you want a cookie? Now, what's the rest of your analysis? That's my question to Jimmy Dore. Anyway, that's what I have to say about him.